Season 3, Episode 1, here we go. The Snocross Podcast is presented by Amsoil, the first in synthetics and the first thing I'm reaching for when it comes to my fire-breathing Fun 25 or my PW. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Haley Shanley, and if you've never listened to the podcast before, shame on you. But this is where we come to talk about what we love most, snowmobiles and snow bikes, the industry at large, not just Amsoil Championship Snocross, but that is what we focus on the most. But you guys have a lot to say. You do, and I love that. I love the conversation online. We're seeing even more of it this year. More and more people are paying attention to this sport, and I don't take that lightly. None of us do. That is super, super exciting. We should all be very excited about that. So, like I said, you all got a lot to say, and I want to hear about it. So, if you have a topic you want to discuss, an athlete or anyone from the industry that you want to hear from, if you have questions you want answered, you name it, and feedback in general, just throw it in the comments. We are very receptive to that, and I love incorporating it in the show. So that's going to be my segue to how we're going to open this thing up. So I asked you guys after the first weekend of racing, what were some of your favorite moments from Canterbury Park? Here's what you had to say. Taven Woody's big redemption. We also had Racer Frank and Blair Morgan on track. That gave everyone goosebumps. Someone else had said Taven Woody's podium speech in round 2. She's one of the best podium speakers I know, by the way. Aki Pelaya winning a qualifier and leading the main. Evan Christian's whole shots and quali wins. Evan Doubt's strong start to the season. Emil Haar having a career best finish and his overall weekend, and stepping up and having an absolute breakout weekend. And again, another one coming in for KC Motorsports, having a strong weekend. So from Dubuque, a lot of people were talking about Warner Racing. Warner Racing, really need you to step it up next weekend. No, what you guys accomplished was absolutely incredible and so much fun to watch. So congratulations, Francis and Jordan. Holshot Hauger, her first career women's win, carrying that red plate into Fargo. Team Canada winning 3 of 4 pro classes, the third going to Troy Horbaty, who we're going to talk to in just a few moments. He's our special guest on this episode. And I don't want to classify this as a favorite moment by any means, because you never want to see this happen to a race, or you never want it to happen to a race, or have to talk about it. But as many of you are aware, Lincoln Lemieux was involved in a very ugly crash. But the moment where I think thousands and thousands of people, I feel I can confidently say that based on the response online and just knowing the industry, is when we got the word the next morning that Lincoln's going to be all right. Everyone just took a big sigh of relief. It was, I won't lie, it was a very somber and stark few hours following the accident. You had Hunter Patnode had expressed that on the podium, and that was how so many of us were feeling. So it's very, very good to hear the good news. Lincoln's lovely wife, Catherine, and his team, 13 Motorsports, have been so gracious in providing updates for us. So you can check those out on our social media pages. You can also find them on 13 Motorsports social media as well. So wishing Lincoln a continued speedy recovery, but also to Andy Pake, who is injured in Dubuque as well, Logan Fratellone, who is on the road to recovery from his injury, and Kenny Mandrick, who I believe had surgery this week. So I'm wishing all of them a speedy recovery, and anyone who's currently on the injured reserve. There's a few of you this season. So wishing you guys all the best. Well, what else is cooking this week? We are supposed to be in Deadwood. That isn't happening. I'm here in the office. So we postponed Deadwood a few weeks, and that bumped ERX back a weekend too. So our next stop is going to be Fargo next weekend. 1 week from today, we'll be going racing. And that's going to make for a busy March. We're going to have 4 back-to-back weekends. Yikes, but it's going to be fun. So be sure to check out the updated schedule at snocross.com. But let's throw this into the interview. I just had the opportunity to catch up with Troy Horbaty, the number 157 snow biker from Canada. He's a rider who sprung onto this scene and has had many podiums, a couple career wins. His first career overall win came last season, and he hasn't been riding a snow bike all that long, only since 2019 approximately. So he's come a very long ways in a short amount of time, and he is quite the character. So check this out. Yeah, a couple weeks off here. What are you up to over this little break? Are you back home or are you still in the States?
I'm still in the States right now. Can't really get back to Canada. I need well, we had a 2 week break, but we kind of were too late on it. So I could have went back, but I need a test and stuff. So that's pretty hard to do. So we just figured we'd stay down here. So right now, kind of just working on bikes and stuff. Last night I went snowboarding, just trying to have a good time right now and kind of enjoy my time down here. There's a lot we can do here that we can't do in Canada. So I'm kind of just trying to enjoy being able to do stuff at home. There's a lot that's locked down and I can't do. So we're doing that right now.
That's good. And it's a reset like this and to be able to do fun stuff is so needed, especially after crazy back-to-back weekends. Well, let me ask you about this season so far. You seem like a guy who is always genuinely having fun. So how much fun has this season been? Obviously, a couple podiums and a win in there.
Yeah, so far it's been super good. I love snowcross racing. It's just like you throw everything on the line that one race, and there's always super crazy battles, right? Back and forth. It's always super fun. So I find even when you go down and have a bad moto, you're still like, oh, I was like giving it my all and everything I got, and that I really enjoy. You kind of need to put everything out there, and if it goes well, you're having an awesome time, and if it doesn't, I find you can still have a good time doing it.
And let me ask you about Jimmy, who you're teamed up with. Jimmy Kranz, to our listeners, you know Jimmy from Bikeman Performance. He's been around the snowmobile space for a long time and power sports as a whole. So you've been teamed up with him for, I believe, since at least last season. How has it been working with Jimmy? You guys seem to work really well together.
Yeah, he definitely brings the fun to all the races. He feeds me. He basically looks after me, gives me somewhere to sleep in between races and stuff. And yeah, we've grown a really good connection. He's helping me from when we're at the races to during the week. He always gives us something to do, so it's super fun having him around. And yeah, he's always he's always joking around. Just the crazy things he does is just super funny, and I don't know, just our friendship together is definitely different. He's always playing with my hair and stuff. There's a lot of things that's weird, but so we're growing out the hair right now, and hopefully he likes it near the end of the season when it gets longer.
Well, I have some fan participation, some fan submitted questions at the end, and there's one it may or may not be from Jimmy around that same topic. But how did the relationship come about? And how long have you been working together? Because I thought I remember you guys were working together last season as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy story. The first time we met Jimmy was last year. The first time once we came down here, we were practicing at ERX, and we went and parked beside this trailer, and my dad started kind of talking to him or whatever, and we're talking about like racing and stuff. He's like, yeah, my son races too, like 120s, and he was in this super nice Intech trailer, and we like this was kind of one of our first times seeing like inside, well, his practice rig. But so at the time we were like, holy, that's like a insanely nice trailer, like nice trailer, dude. And so we were talking about that and stuff. And then first round, I think, was it last year? Was it year X? Um, anyways, the year X round, we ended up parking beside the Stud Boy semi, and out walks Jimmy, and we're like, what happened to your other trailer? And he's like, oh, that was my practice trailer. So then we got to know him that night, and he invited us to a shop and stuff. And then we kind of built a friendship there. And then he invited us to come to Deadwood with us, and it went really well there. So then we did the rest of the season with him.
Well, it seems like you guys have a good thing going and you've carried that into this year. And let me ask you about the racing itself. I have some theories on why the snow bike caliber and quality of racing has been upped this year, but I want to hear it from you. Why do you think that snow bike has been compelling this year? And I think that came as a surprise to many, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, why do you think that the racing has just been up this year with snow bikes?
Yannick coming from Canada has really upped the game, and then you also have the guys from Idaho that came in, making the whole field faster in general. And just every year we're figuring out how to set these snow bikes up better and better, and we're just getting faster and faster every year. So throughout time, everyone's just going to get faster, right? Now having Yannick, I find me, Yannick, and Jesse are all around the same speed. And so it makes racing super exciting. Like now you got to worry about Yannick and Jesse. Like when you're in a battle with three people, it's super intense.
And had you had an opportunity to race with Yannick before? I can't remember. Like if you'd probably done it like the X Games qualifier or maybe 2 seasons ago, but how much have you raced with Yannick before?
I raced against Yannick quite a few times, but not when I've improved quite a bit over last year basically. And so the years before when I was racing Yannick, I wasn't really near his speed, so I never had the chance to like battle with him like I do this year. So it's pretty exciting having him up there too.
Yeah, there's so many guys, especially like the guys from Idaho too. Canyon Ashley has been so impressive on his start. So you're right, like what you were saying about how you guys figure out these machines more and more every year. The equipment evolves. It's been really really exciting to see. Let's go back to round two. You had not one but two crashes. The second one went kind of under the radar. In that one, it kind of messed you up a little bit. So what all went down in round two for you? And I believe it was Moto 2.
Yeah, so in Moto 2, I'm pretty sure if I won that moto, I would have had the overall. So I was like I decided I was going to try something different, and really we found my first few laps. It takes me a while to get going to the top speed. So off the start, I was like trying to work myself up before the race to try to get the blood flowing and stuff. So I spent like 20 minutes like running before the race, and I was like winded before the race, which I mean, it's a short race, and to me it doesn't really matter. I feel like my fitness is there. So I kind of just tried to get the blood going, and then right off the start I got cut off and I went down pretty hard there and broke my visor and stuff. And I felt completely fine, so I got up, and my goal was to catch up and try to get a podium position. So I started just going as hard as I can. And my bike was like, my bars were like sideways. They were like, the front end was all tweaked up, but I kind of tried to ignore it and just keep going. And I was pushing as hard as I can till the last lap. I thought I had one more spot to go to get on the podium. And turns out I was in a podium position. And so I went down last lap when I didn't have to, which was, I'm still mad at myself for that move. And so I went down hard there and hit my head on the bars pretty good. But we didn't really get it checked out by a doctor other than the FXR mobile medic team. They said I didn't have a concussion from that crash. And my whole body and everything felt fine. In that last crash, I broke my lever and stuff. So it took me a while to get up and going because I had no clutch, right? So I just rode out that last lap, and then when I came off the track, I felt tired like I normally would, like just breathing heavy. And so I'm like, whatever, it's gonna go down eventually. So I rode back to the truck, and then when I got to the truck, like I started realizing that I was like hyperventilating like crazy, and it just kept getting worse and worse. So like once I got to the truck, I like just laid on the ground, and I couldn't really pick myself up. It was like my whole body went numb from my shoulders to my hands and like from my hips to my toes. And it was a really scary feeling. So Jimmy got me in his trailer and sat on a bench for a bit. And for like 20 minutes after that, it just started getting worse and worse. I could barely even talk because I was just so worked up. And so Jimmy said, like, screw it, we're taking you to the medics. So the medics came and picked me up, and I sat in a trailer for a while, and they were trying to help me out. They're trying to just figure out what was going on, make sure I had no internal damage and stuff. And I was acting like super weird, and so they all thought I had a concussion, but there was no, like, I had a broken visor on the helmet, but that was it. There was no, like, I didn't have a headache or anything. I didn't hit my head super hard. So we really still don't know what happened, other than they just say, like, because I was hyperventilating so long and so hard, that they think, like, that's why I was, like, going delusional almost. I was like not myself. And to me, I felt like completely normal. I was like, Dad, what are you talking about? Like, I think I'm fine, other than I can't stop my breathing. And he's like, no, Troy, like, you're acting super weird. And so it took about, like, probably 45 minutes to an hour to, like, get myself breathing normally. And I kind of woke up the next day, like, super sore. And I think I was back on the bike like 2 days after. So, and ever since then, it just, I felt normal and fine. So I haven't really worried about it.
Man, that's super scary and bizarre, the whole hyperventilating thing, but good to hear that 2 days later you were back at it, and then a comeback story to come away with a win, and so early on in the season, round 3. So that one had to feel good.
Yeah, it was really good.
So I want to ask you about, and let's have some fun here, and I expect that you'll give me your full, unbridled honesty. So in the dark abyss of the internet, there's this hate towards snow bikes, right? Some will say they are the quads of the snowcross track. I want to know from you, is that hate warranted, and do you have a response to that?
I honestly, sometimes I love seeing it. There's times where I've seen people targeting towards, say, Jesse, which I don't feel is right, because Jesse puts in just as much work as any other pro sled, and same with basically every guy on the snow bike field, right? That we're putting in the work that the top sleds do, and that's important. But I see where the hate comes from some people, because it's the same thing with quads and dirt bikes, right? Dirt bikes don't like quads, and it makes sense. I totally see it, but I feel like there's a way we could not be the quads of the show here. And I think a lot of it has to do with us. Almost, we always want to groom track, which it's not snowcross racing. You got to ride a rough track, and that's what I like. I mean, I like riding a smooth track. I'm sure everyone does, but we got to realize that, like, the sleds have to ride a rough track, so we have to too, right? We can't always want a smooth track, and I feel like that's where the sleds look at us as whiners and stuff. And so I totally see their point of view, and yeah, hopping on a sled is definitely scary for me. Reason I'm on a snow bike is because I grew up racing dirt bikes and stuff, and that was the first thing. Maybe in a few years I'll hop on a sled and try a national and stuff and see how it goes. And I'm sure I'll get destroyed. I'm not I don't think I'll be anything good, but it'd be cool to try it out, right?
No, it's funny you say that about, like, the the people like Sledders saying you guys are whiners or whatnot. Like everyone's going to have their opinion about what makes a good track, and obviously ISOC has to try their best to cater to both, and it's a very, very hard thing to do. But I think more so the reason I asked is just like the fans out there, and everyone, by the way, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I can't help but think it's like really funny when people go out there just like hating on them for nonsense reasons. And I don't know, in the past, like if the racing hasn't been great, like you rewind to like a few years ago in Snowbike, and even at some points last year, like when the racing isn't always as compelling throughout the show, and if people want to hate on that, that's one thing. But this year, like right out of the gate, has been such a step in the right direction for the sport in terms of like what you guys are doing, the quality of the show. So hats off to all of you guys. So thank you for your feedback and indulging me with that one.
You just have to laugh at it because they say that we're so slow and stuff, but at the same time, you look at the lap times, and there's often weekends where our lap times are faster than every pro sled, and it's pretty crazy just how fast our quarter speed is compared to the sleds. That they definitely have more power than us, but we can make up time in other places, and people don't even realize it.
Exactly, and Iowa, I think, was a prime example of that. I don't know which night it was, or if it was just like the averages overall both nights, but your guys' lap times were just like a second on average quicker than the pro sled. So it's exciting for sure. And you know, I think at the end of the day, there's going to be people that will just like die on that hill of I hate this or I love this, and that is what it is. And regardless, we love the banter and the feedback. So speaking of juice, did you get a chance to go back and watch round 3 Moto 2? Or were you aware of the situation at all between Jesse and Yannick?
I've seen little clips of it. I don't quite remember what all happened, but whatever happened, I loved it.
It was so good. I mean, it's you know, two guys like who are good friends. You don't want to see anyone like get hurt or, you know, intentionally take one another out, but it kind of had us announcers and I think a lot of fans like, oh, that just happened. So we'll replay the clip here, but no, that was good stuff. Well, I have some fan Q&A for you, Troy, if you're ready. Yeah. This first one, you've told this story a few times, but there's still a few people who are like, who is this guy? Because you really sprung onto this scene in snowbike, snowcross racing. So tell us, how did you get started in snowbikes?
So the first time I've ever ridden a snowbike was in the mountains. We decided to put a kid on my 150 two-stroke, which honestly, I was 12 years old, and we took it to the mountains, and it was all a kid could need. Like, if you have a 150 and a kid that you want to put on it, like, that's all he needs. I went anywhere where a 450 would go. But I was also like 120 pounds, right? But so that kind of was my first time doing it. And at the time we were just like, this is cool. Like, we're just going to go to the mountains every winter and ride them for fun. And so my dad bought one for himself to do that, a 450 with a timber sled on it. And then we heard about this X Games qualifier. I was 13 years old, and we decided I was just going to try. So we spent like a week practicing on a snowcross track before the X Games qualifier. And I did the qualifier, and I was like one spot away from making X Games. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll try next year. And then I got a call like 3 days later that I got an invite to X Games. So now I had to be into it, right? So we did some practicing. I did like one national to practice for X Games and stuff. And so I went and did X Games and had an awesome time doing it. So like the next year I was like, oh, we got to throw more at it and go for it. And so that next year I made X Games by myself without the invite and stuff. So I did a few nationals then and didn't really have great results still. But so then I came the next year, which was last year, and that's when COVID hit and stuff. So I had to live down here, and that's when I started getting fast, was when I was riding as much as I possibly could, and there's really nothing else to do. So we just rode, and yeah, so that's how I got where I am now.
Well, stepping aside from the fan Q&A, a personal question is like that first year you go to X Games, you're this young kid, you're so new to this all. You've always presented and carried yourself as this guy who's just happy-go-lucky or pretty cool, calm, collected. But at any point were you ever like, oh my gosh, like I'm lining up against these like wicked fast guys who have been doing this for a while? Did at any point did it ever sink in like, oh my gosh, I'm here, and maybe make you a little bit nervous?
Oh, for sure. The whole X Games experience was like super cool. Me and my sister went snowboarding and stuff there, and I had a good time with the family, and everything was fine until I got on the gate and like I forget who was beside. I'm pretty sure I had Axel Hodges beside me, and I was like, "Why am I like I'm not supposed to be here? Like this isn't right." And the the guy waved the flag for us to go and stuff, and everyone took off, and I was like a second delayed on start. It was terrible. And that was just because I was so like, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, it didn't feel real at the time. And then, so that was my first X Games experience. I didn't really get a good result just because I didn't feel like I should be there. And I mean, I had the speed to be there. I just got so nervous with the people I was racing. Because I always looked up to him as a kid, and I still do look up to him, right?
Mm-hmm. The next question we have from the fans here is, can I sell your truck? It's been sitting in a snowbank.
Oh, my truck is never going. I don't care. I don't care if I want a new truck. I don't care. Like the truck is staying with me for the rest of my life. I bought it. I bought it this year with the winnings from last year's Snocross this summer, and it handles like crap. It doesn't drive well. It's all over the road. I don't know why I like it, but I choose to drive it over any other vehicle, and I always will. So like my truck's probably one of the biggest things I miss right now at home. I'm trying to get my friend to drive it out here for me. But I'm not sure if it's going to be cheaper to drive it out here or ship it out here, because I think I'm going to burn like $500-600 in fuel coming down here. So it might be easier just to throw it on a truck. It's really bad on fuel.
So what is the truck? What did you buy?
I bought a 1993 Dodge Ram first gen Cummins. So it's a big diesel truck, and the diesel doesn't stay in the tank very long. It's built like a brick, very slow, it sounds like it's fast, but it doesn't move very quick.
How many miles are on that bad boy?
Oh, we're almost at 400,000, and it's still going strong.
Oh my goodness.
400,000 kilometers. You guys, yeah, we go by kilometers in Canada.
Okay, still an exceptional amount.
Still a lot, yeah.
Any idea of who at home might have asked such a question?
100% my mom.
It was your mom.
Before I left, I parked it right on the patio. Basically, we got the patio in front of the house and a big snowbank, and I drove it right up onto that snowbank. And my excuse was we didn't have a long enough extension cord to plug it in the cold. So I drove it right onto the patio, and it hasn't moved since.
This next one, and I'll leave it up to you to determine who might have asked, is who shaves your eyebrows?
Jimmy. Jimmy definitely asked that. Jimmy, the first time we hung out, I don't know, the first thing he noticed with me was I had a bit of hair between my eyebrows, and the unibrow was coming in. And he, even if I got nothing between my eyebrows, he still brings it up, and he loves making fun of it. And so he likes making fun of all the hair I got on my head and my eyebrows, but I think he's just jealous because he's got no eyebrows and no hair on his head. So that's kind of where I'm at. I might let him do my hair at the end of the season. We'll see how it goes.
That's funny. I appreciate you tossing it right back at him too, compensating for not having any. Has Cody Krantz been hanging out in your gear bag lately?
Uh, Cody's been all over the place. I can't keep track of that kid. One second he's in my gear bag. The next second he's trying to take me to the arcade, and me and him spent a full day at the arcade. He's just all over the place. I love that kid's energy. I, I don't even know. He might be in the gear bag back there. Who knows with that kid? He's everywhere, and I love him.
The infamous gear bag. To those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, we did an FXR What's in Your Gear Bag last year, and Troy pulled Cody out of the bag, among many other surprises. That was one of my favorites. Next question we have is, what is your favorite tip or helpful comment your dad has given you pertaining to racing? Because for those of you who don't know, Troy's dad has been an instrumental part of his racing program. So what's maybe that one bit of advice that stands out to you, Troy?
My dad's been definitely my number one supporter the whole way through, always looking after me and stuff. And I don't, there's a lot, he hasn't gave me very many tips since I started beating him, and since I was faster than him, which I was faster than him on like 85. So it's been a while, but there's one tip I've like always remember from, and it's probably like just he'd always tell me to stay on the gas longer than anyone else. And so every corner I go into, I'm just waiting for someone else's bike to shut off, or like for them to get off the throttle. And I try to stay on it for at least half a second longer. And so that's probably the biggest thing for me. And then I also tell Cody, that's the main thing I tell Cody, is just like wide open longer than anyone else and you'll win. And I feel like that's been a big thing for him too. So I've been trying to kind of pass that to him and make that kind of something he does through his whole life of racing, right?
I love that. That's fantastic. And the last question I have for you, and I'll echo this one because this is actually one I was going to throw into the show, is you and I were talking before the season, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's no more X Games. That means we may not get Brock Hoyer or Cody Matichuk or some other names down here again. And we were both kind of like, this is scary. And I know that we weren't the only ones to say that. There were other people that were just a little bit unsure about the future of snowbiking. With the increase in the field that we have seen this year and the up of the caliber and quality of racing, does that leave you more optimistic about the future of snowbike racing?
For sure. I feel like the people that are racing in the national series here are all super good guys, and we kind of get along really well. So that's only going to be a plus for snowbike racing. And then the guys that are out in the backcountry, they're super good on a track, and they're just having a good time out in the backcountry right now. Well, it's hard to come down here racing. So I feel like once things start opening up more, we're going to see them come down when it's easy for them. And then you're going to get even more people battling, right? It's super, super easy to have tight racing in these tight tracks, right? And they're technical. So it's really, you can only have so much power on a snow bike too. So there's not much that separates us, right? So we're all super close with each other and basically trying to figure out how to ride these things still. There's still lots of improvement to be made, and there's many changes you make to it where it's like, holy, I think I got the edge on the competition. And so that's super cool. There's a lot of setup that goes on with it, and obviously there's a lot of riding skill that you got to learn.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans yourself to get back to the mountains and do some riding in the backcountry?
Not this season. We're thinking of maybe going with Justin from Arrowhead Adventures sometime this winter, but I'm not sure if we're gonna make the time to do it. We kind of want to go to Florida, so we might do that. I went 2 times before I came down here to BC, so we went out with some buddies in Canada there, and that's always the first snow bike ride of the season for me. We go to the mountains and kind of just figure out the bikes there. There's no other way to figure out how to get your snow bike put together than in the backcountry when there's no tools, no nothing. So we go there and test out the bikes, and if something breaks, then we're stranded out there, and that's kind of how it goes every year. And I don't know why we do it, but we do. Basically, if you're racing, just I feel like the main thing is just to go out and have fun, and I try to have fun as much as I can, and if we're not having fun, then we're not going racing that weekend, right? And that's the biggest thing with all the people that support me. We have fun with it. Everything we do, from practicing to everything, just hang out during the week here. We're always having fun in everything we do, and that's a big part of it. We're having fun from the moment we got down here to the moment we leave, right? So I love having all the fans around, and just everything about Snocross is just amazing. Like, there's so many opportunities to talk to the fans and stuff and hang out with them. And there's many friendships I've made with fans that I go and see them once a year at their local Snocross race, which is super cool. So that's what I love about the sport, and I just love having fun doing it, and I kind of want everyone else to as well.
Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Troy Horbaty. Like I had said, he is one of the just most happiest, laid-back guys in the pits, genuinely always having a good time. So it's so much fun to chit-chat with him here outside of the races. You can find all of our episodes online on our Facebook and YouTube channel. You can also find them now on Flow Racing, and you can subscribe to wherever it is you get your podcasts. So thank you so much for listening to the Snocross Podcast presented by Amsoil. Coming up next week, I was fortunate enough to get a hold of Jake Belair in the gang, so the Belair Racing crew. They're going to be joining me on episode 2 of season 3 of the Snocross Podcast presented by Amsoil. So that's coming up next week, and after that, we are on to Fargo for the all-finished concrete Snocross National presented by Cost Materials. So thank you so much. I'm your host, Haley Shanley. We will see you next week.